to the
Hmm.
point where even though I don't know if I want to say I didn't take a full shower. I rinsed because I had gone to the massage, and so I sprayed water on me, but I didn't actually put I didn't put on soap. And so I got out of bed last night because I couldn't sleep, and I took a full shower, and then I was putting on some calamine lotion. I ended up taking a Benadryl because it was just I was in.
Wow.
Yeah. And you know, I hate to take Benadryl, especially when I know that I am going to be on here.
Up in the morning
Yeah, I'm gonna be up.
before 30.
Mhm. So
Oh,
so it was so I don't know what that is. I don't know what it is, but I know that I can't continue to go and submit myself to something. Although I want that. I want to do that. That was part of the 5 a.m. club book where he was talking about going to get a deep tissue massage. And so I'd love to continue to do that, but not if I'm going to have some kind of allergic reaction every time. I need to figure out something different.
well, I'm going back in the office today for the first time since October.
Oh my.
Yeah. So
That's
lots of energy. I'm not scared. I mean, I'm ready. I'm excited actually.
okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So
What time do you have to go in?
my first patient is at 10.
Okay.
Mm,
Okay, good.
yeah,
That is exciting.
it is.
Okay, so this is your counseling and not your progressive.
Right. Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
I have an office in Independence that I haven't been in since October.
Okay.
So, I'm going there. Got my little lunch packed and got my all my markers and my boards and all the stuff that I use to work with. So it's like I'll be moving back in. It's weird, but I'm not going to. I'm only going to be there on Tuesdays.
Okay.
Yeah, but because I just moved all my trauma patients to Tuesdays, so I can do Tuesdays work, which means that I'm going to be tapped out um, by Tuesday night.
Yeah. Well, these things, I tell you this different insight that we are doing should enliven that.
Well, I prayed in that vein today. Actually, I did a energy blessing over myself in my meditation, opening and
Mhm.
activating each chakra. Um, so yeah, I'm believing that I will have like an over amount of an energy as opposed to yeah. So I agree with you. Yeah, I was
Yes.
intentional about that.
Yes. Yes. And yeah, and so there's so much that I want to talk about today. And so let's get started, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, blessings. Do you want to do the prayer today, or are you?
I'm good. I'm reserving all of my energy.
Okay, okay. Excellent. So
Hmm.
we just breathe in together.
Hmm.
And as we do this, it unites us with all of life, knowing that we exist in the same space, in the same allness that is everywhere present.
Hmm.
The power of that as we take this in and just know we are not separate from our source. Never have we been. There is nothing that we could do or have ever done that disconnects us from this very source that is our life,
Hmm.
our breath. It is what we are. So right here and right now, we give thanks to this divine presence for being present, for guiding our words, our thoughts, our deeds. And as we know here that our words are filled with light, love, and wisdom of the highest, we just open our minds and this space to be one of receiving as well as healing. We bless this moment. We bless everyone who is here, everyone who encounters this. We bless it all, knowing that it is in divine order. And we just let it be. And so it is. Amen, amen, amen.
And
I'm excited. Um, I'm excited for a number of reasons. I'm excited to get back into this first chakra issue, to talk about this stuff, but also, I want to try to, one of the things that I love to do is try to not just make this, so I love the stories that she shares here, like the one we did yesterday about looking at the world, or looking at the United States in a larger context, and talk about it so that we can see the ways that we are the ways that energy affect us. And sometimes I think that if we out picture it, if we put it out onto something else, we're better able to see it in our lives. And so we talked about the symbolically how HIV um, can be perceived. We talked about this idea around pandemic, and how the ideas that they shared from when they had the polio outbreak, how it made it seem as though it had crippled the world. And so when we look at this pandemic and we think about um, the effects of it, that is also very interesting. But since we're in the midst of it, it makes it a little more difficult for us to analyze. So I want to,
you think so?
because we don't know the fallout yet. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? We don't have the full picture.
No.
So we can talk about what it's doing right here and right now. But so are you interested in trying to?
I've been doing a little research. I don't have a lot, and I'll reserve my right to say anything definitive. But like even the corona is the crown aspect of. So anyway, I just been working with that. Um, I'll just relate. I'll wait. I want to get an ability to explain what I think it is symbolically.
Okay, I
Um,
mean,
but
I mean, go ahead. We can chew on it, if if you wanna go there. I mean, we can certainly chew on that.
I don't want to go there. I
Okay.
just wait. I'm gonna wait. I'll wait.
Okay. All right. So what I was thinking about today was this idea that the first chakra resonates to our family of origins, our tribal stuff. And when we're talking about it, she's talking about it and how those things sort of manifest. And so so when we talk about the family structure, the family origin, there's a lot to do with this. So let me share it with you. I'm gonna just pick up here where we left off yesterday, and just kind of drill down on. I'm on page 108 for those of you who are in your books. And down here at the second to the last paragraph, but I'm not going to read this whole thing, but she says here, our respective tribes introduce us to life in the world, right? And so they teach us that the world is either safe or dangerous, abundant or poverty ridden, educated, ignorant, a place that takes to take from or to give to. And so when you think about the different communities or the different thought systems, the different ideologies, all of those things, we receive that information by and large from our family of origin. And we see it played out, whether it is through the idea that we have that most people, I don't know if there's a payoff for it, but most people will tell you, oh, I grew up in a single parent household. And, so yes, we put a S on our mother's chest and talk about all the struggles that she went through in order to get us to where we are. But that too becomes for some people, they take it as a hurdle or an obstacle which they have had to overcome. And so it becomes part of an identity. I remember when I was growing up, most people having the assumption that Blacks did not have a father in the home as a rule. And we both grew up with fathers. We grew up with fathers in our homes. And so this assumption, as a matter of fact, it was, what was the bald-headed guy's name who had the talk show? Was it Montel Williams or something?
Yes. Montel Williams.
Yeah, he had a little pin that he had people wearing, because what he was trying to say, or what he was trying to demonstrate, was that we allow a small segment of our population to determine what the entirety of the population was. And so I don't know if it was 3/5 or something like that, where he was saying that you have Black men that are showing up, that are fathers, that are in the home, that are doing what they're supposed to do, and trying to offset this idea that that was the rule. And so we get all of these things, not just from the larger culture, but from within our culture.
Absolutely.
That colors the perceptions that we have in a particular way. And so until we set about trying to, which was what he was trying to do with his movement that he created, he was trying to say that how we are portrayed is not the truth of who we are. And so all of these things become things that we need to offset and work against, because what they do is they continue to inform how we see ourselves in the world. Yes. So if you already are walking around with what, I use that S on the chest, or if you're already looking at it from, you're working at a deficit, then that becomes how you carry yourself. And so that type of thing informs how we show up, right?
Also, in the second paragraph on that same page, it says maintaining the health of our individual first chakra depends upon addressing our personal tribal issues. And then, for an example, is if we feel victimized, then we carry around this negative perception, and then it causes us to lose energy. And so it's the information that we get from our tribe that can determine our energy levels, our power. Because energy is power, our power levels, and it determines that. So that belief system is, and I was thinking when you said about the single parent, like even the message of that in our society is that something went wrong. Life done went wrong. Something went wrong. But in the animal kingdom, single parenting is a thing.
Yeah. Right.
I'm not saying that, rah for single parenting. I'm saying that the energy that we have been trained to, but I can see the energy leaving when you think that life's gone bad or life's gone wrong, because this is where you have to be, as opposed to let's find our resilience in this.
Yeah. So I think that, there's all these ideas that that we put forth in this country, that even the idea of America, the American dream,
Mhm.
where you would have, and they try to tell you what this dream is, that you're going to be a husband and a wife with 2.5 children, be a property owner,
Mhm.
and drive a Lincoln. So it is, somebody creates that dream for you. And that becomes, this thing that when people don't feel as if they are there, they are constantly trying to, pull themselves
Yeah.
into that particular image, even though that may not be what really feels right to a person.
Is it true?
Yeah. Is it true? And is it your truth?
Right.
Your
Yeah.
truth. That becomes, and that becomes, I think, for every individual, that question, is that your striving? And what are the repercussions or the fallouts when that is not your reality?
Mhm.
Right. And so what we see is that, people are constantly feeling as if they are less than when they cannot strive and
Yeah.
achieve that particular end. So,
That's so good.
and so, so much of I think so much of the stuff that we struggle with is around the messages that we receive, the messages that are not you. And so part of the problem is too is that we don't tap in sometimes and say, is this what I want?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. She
um
called that ethnical generalization. Is it ethnic generalization? So
okay.
the generalizing, like you were just like generalizing everything and making it,
Mhm,
this is the way it is, and this is.
mhm, mhm. And it's really interesting to me too, that one of the things that I remember I read, and they say that the American dream has become the American nightmare for many people. But one of the things that I also read somewhere is the reasons why. So they used to have these things that they called the ghetto or a project, and the project was, let's throw all the undesirables. This I want to say it's almost like apartheid. It came across to me having the effect of being like apartheid. Let's throw all of these people in this area and keep them concentrated in this particular area. But what they found out was, and what they realized was, is in that particular way, people started really becoming
Who they are.
empowered. Yes, they become really empowered. You're sharing space, sharing buildings. You become
Man.
conscious of the structures that keep you, that want to keep you blocked in, boxed in, and then you figure out a way, when you are working together as a unit like that, you figure out how to overcome some of the challenges that you're
Yeah.
in. So then they found out, okay, this is not working, because what we're doing really is we're creating an army. And so now we need to spread y'all out. We need to, have CMHA go out into the neighborhoods, and we give you vouchers so that you're not living with all of these people. So you're not organizing, that you don't have,
Empower yourself.
yeah, you don't have that ready-made stuff right there. Let's see
Right.
what we can do to get you out. And because if you're busy trying to keep up with the Joneses that is now in your neighborhood,
Right.
um,
You don't go within because you're
yeah,
looking all on the outside.
they gonna switch things up on you, so that your even your aspirations become different. The system is no longer the target, rather it's trying to keep up with your neighbor. That's the target. Just it's
Wow, that's
amazing.
so good. So yummy. Really good. Really good. Really good.
And and we live in, a lot of times we think that this is organic, right? We think that the ways in which we live and the ways in which we strive is organic, but this is designed. This is a mastermind, and that mastermind doesn't want you to get to self-mastery. And so as long as we can keep you in a system where you don't recognize your own greatness, your own potential, you
And keep
know.
you offended. Stay in offense. You're gonna,
Okay.
there's no power in offense. So if
Yeah.
I'm offended because they got a car and I didn't, if I'm offended because so and so, especially, taking our little kids into the white neighborhoods where the teachers don't understand the language, don't understand the energy, don't understand the culture. So then that creates this, like it just breaks down power. And that was good. It is
You
so good.
know,
So
yeah,
systemic.
but
Crazy.
it's so interesting to me though, all of the stuff that we in not being aware or not paying attention, all of the stuff that we're subject to, that is really really was fascinating to me, because so many folks just I'm sorry, this sun is, I love the
It's
sun, but
beaming, girl.
it's like,
Like you just like blending in, Sandra.
I can't even see. I can't even see. Jeez. So,
There's your spot right there. We can see you.
jeez. So, I feel like I'm a far way away from my book and my desk.
You are.
Oh,
And you look far away from here too.
I wonder, I'm gonna have to do something about all of this sunshine coming in. Can you do me a favor and maybe read that paragraph with our starting off at, and the one that starts with our respective
And they
tribe.
transmit.
Yeah, and I'm gonna see if I can mute this sun a little bit.
Okay. It says, and they transmit their perceptions about the nature of reality itself. For instance, that this life is only one of many, or that this life is all there is. We inherit from our tribes their attitudes towards religion, ethnic, and racial groups. Our tribes activate our thinking processes. Whoa, it's so true.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. So like, and that thing down there, that last sentence, we inherit from our tribe their attitudes towards other religions, ethnic and racial groups. And when you think about that, isn't that sometimes what people do as far as racism is concerned? Even it's almost as if you don't want to be the person that is the N-word lover, right? Because even that is like a way of keeping somebody else in check. Like if I have a term for it, or if I have, you don't want to be caught being that, right? Or even whatever it may be, you want to not necessarily be the odd man out, the black sheep of the group. You want to be in with the group. And so even if you've got friends that are black, or if you got have friends that are of a different ethnic group or a different race, when other people are around, you start to act different, because you now, this is my group of origin. This is my group of origin. So even though you're my friend, I can't go against my group of origin.
It's true.
It becomes this uphill battle.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to put a pause in that for a minute, because yesterday I shared about my friend who had developed prostate cancer, and who had issues with their primary family. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who are at the effect of the structures. But I want to switch for a second, just for a minute or two. Because one of the things I like to do is, that's helpful. I think I can see my face. Okay, so I stuck something up there. I put a piece of cardboard up at the top part of the window where
Okay,
the sun is
it's
coming in.
healthy.
So, there are a lot of, what do we call them? Myths, but we call them, we don't call them nursery rhymes. We call them
That's
stories, right? About orphans. Man, that's sacred contracts, right? So, yes, the orphan story, right? Now, orphan story is one where a person may not have contention with their family of origin, but they are estranged from their family of origin.
Mhm.
So if we looked at a story like Cinderella,
Mhm.
Cinderella is one of those stories where you have Cinderella who went to live with her stepmother, right? And her three other sisters, and
Stepsister.
so, huh?
Stepsisters.
Yes, stepsisters. And so you have, coming out of this, you don't know what happened to her mother.
Mhm.
And there is no, during the course of the story, you really don't see that male presence that is there. But somehow Cinderella finds herself doing all the chores and all the work that the others don't want to do. So she is portrayed as being, um the orphan that is put upon, bullied, that is, whatever, I mean, by the rest of the family.
Mhm.
And it is one of those stories that, I think that a lot of people who have felt like the orphan can relate to.
Mhm.
Now, and so Cinderella, this is a somewhat of a rags to riches story,
Mhm.
because she actually was marginalized,
Mhm.
ostracized, not included. Yeah, she was the beast of burden in that house, constantly scrubbing floors, constantly, having all sorts of challenges. And so it appears as though, um, she fits in with the example that we have been given here. Now, we don't hear the dialogue that goes on in Cinderella's head, right? We don't hear um, the condemnation of her own family, but rather we are seeing the effect of this estranged family, or of the family where she finds herself. And so it becomes this whole thing of suffer in place because your fairy godmother is
Mm.
on her way to rescue you.
That's so good. Yes, it is. Uh-huh.
And so it's almost as if we look at the stories that we hear, or the stories that we have been told, a lot of these stories are sometimes just hold on, right? Hold on, because the rescue is on its way. And the reality of it is that most people don't find, um or can we say that their fairy godmother turns out to be not a fairy at all?
Right, right.
Yeah, that sometimes what you do is in the midst of where you are, you find someone that actually sees you and is not just there to use and abuse you,
Yes.
but rather loves you just as you are.
Yes.
And so that becomes, I think, one of those challenges that when we think about here in this particular book, this idea of where your tribe is, who is your tribe? And when you feel shut out of the tribe, then what happens? And so this for us becomes a thing that we can chew on and we can look at as we move through this work of the stories that inform or kind of resonate to what it is that we're learning. Because a lot of times what we see, especially when we're looking at things, we don't see people's family of origin. I'm always amazed at how you can have shows and the shows be totally about your work relationships and never about your family relationships, right? You have all of these things that put people in a place, but don't really deal with
where they come from.
Yes, the place where they are supposed to be drawing their energy, their identity, their structure, they show them in the workplace. And even if something happens to them, what they show is they don't show the family members showing up all the time. They show the work people showing up when there's trouble or when there's something. And so I could think of so many stories where the only family some people tend to have is the ones that they build on their jobs.
Yeah.
We even have a term work wife or work husband for that reason, because those relationships take place in the context of the workplace. And then when they go home, sometimes they're lonely and eating TV dinners in front of a TV screen and living these lives that are, less than what they would desire. So, so she goes on and she talks about the ethnic generalizations that you mentioned earlier. Like all Irish are great storytellers, all Germans are on time and well organized. I heard on time, but well organized. And then that there are some that are just not that, not that. I remember when I was studying in Italy, one of the things that was always interesting is that we're all different ethnicities or from different countries of origin in a class where they're teaching Italian. And in Italian, they have a formal, so buongiorno is a formal that says good morning. And then you've got an informal, like somebody might say ciao, or usually when you're walking down the street, people say giorno, right? They don't necessarily put the buongiorno in the giorno.
Okay.
It's like morning. Instead of saying good morning, it's like morning. And so, there were all of these things where you could go formal or you could go informal, depending upon whether you were talking to your friends or whether you were talking to a superior. So they would give us both. What I always found interesting is that the Germans didn't ever want to do the informal. They always wanted to be formal in their conversation. And it didn't, even with their friends, there wasn't that kind of warmth that you would expect. They wanted to know the formal way of speaking because that informal was not normal nor ordinary for them. And so what you see a lot of times is, depending upon the culture that people come from, they are either sometimes more relaxed and chill, or not. I tell you, I looked at Alan did a piece the other day about showing the State Farm video, where where two different people were experiencing two different things, yet use the exact same language. Like, like, the girl, her father gave her a car and she was like, no way. And the guy comes out and finds his car crushed and he was like, no way. Right. And so it becomes this thing, we're using the same language, but tonality and, context, all of that stuff comes into play when we're listening to conversations. And so a lot of times, because, one thing may seem right based on our culture,
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
can be taken in very different ways. So we have to be mindful of that. You okay?
Yeah, my eyes are burning.
Yeah, it's like I was looking at you like something's wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I took my glasses off, like maybe I need to rest them. It just feel like hot, not like burning like something's in them, but like warm. That feverish type
Mm,
warm.
mm.
I don't know. It's weird.
Well, usually I go wash my face, but I don't know that you want to do that. That may not be what you need.
I'll probably do that before I leave. Hmm.
Okay. Okay. I got you. I got you. And so we receive messages like that all the time, right? We receive messages about the difference between men and women, that women are somehow supposed to be emotional, or women aren't rational, or that we're not quite as smart, or I mean, any number of things. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's outside of the group that we're in.
Right.
Sometimes in the context of the group of women, remember I was talking about yesterday, sometimes women don't like each other,
Yeah.
like other women. And so sometimes it's in the context of the group that they take on these types of ideas or scenarios, thinking that it's right because is what we have learned. And sometimes if we hear things repeated often enough, we think that there's some validity in it. And it's really, we got to check ourselves so that we don't get caught in that kind of thing. So tribal beliefs we inherit are a combination of truth and
And
fiction.
fiction. Yeah, that was good. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm.
Some of them she was saying are good, like murder is forbidden, holds an eternal value. Others lack the quality of eternal truth and are more parochial, designed to keep tribes separated from one another in violation of the truth that all is one. So if you are busy thinking that somehow people are, because of a race or because of a religion or because of something, if you are grouping people into an out group, or if you are otherizing people, that goes against this idea and this notion that all is one.
Right.
There is a price to be paid for that.
Mm.
Yes. So our spiritual power grows when we're able to see beyond the contradictions inherent in tribal teachings and pursue a deeper level of truth, right? And so for me, if I am looking around and I am pointing and saying, okay, that's God and that's God and that's God and that's God, if I'm always doing that, then that is a challenge in and of itself to question what it is that I'm thinking, what it is that I'm seeing, what it is that I am believing about people in general.
Yes.
Because all is one. If I'm looking at, even when a bug gets in my house, recognizing that that too is life, not my life, not the same level of life that I have, but it is life and it was created for a purpose and with with the means. We think that, these things don't have a purpose, but even a mosquito has a divine purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
As
Yeah.
much as I hate them, I
What?
don't
We don't know yet. Well, I
hate
guess we
them.
could research it, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, and they spring up out of nowhere.
Nowhere. And a lot of them.
So each time we make a shift towards symbolic awareness, right, putting this into a different context, we positively influence our energy and our biological system. So if we can, say, for instance, and I love that. I love it because one of the things that we do is that we're so busy living our life, doing our stuff, we never put it in a symbolic context. But sometimes what I say to myself is that I'm having I love having the awareness that I'm on a particular hero's journey. So if today I am living out Noah's truth, right? People, I'm building something, and people, in my backyard, right? People are looking at me like, what you doing all that work for? Like, you ain't even gonna have no company over. Or they don't see that there is a reason, like I might be building my gazebo and my garden and all of this other stuff for a reason. And so Noah was catching hell because he's out there building this big old ark, and everybody is like saying, what
For
is
what?
doing? You own dry land. Ain't no water nowhere around here. What are you building that for? Right? So some people don't see your vision, right? They don't see it, but it's not for them to see. And so sometimes we have a Noah moment. We have those moments. Sometimes we have a David and Goliath moment. We have a prodigal son moment. Until we start to put ourselves in that context, right? Until you start seeing yourself as the Neo out of the Matrix, or seeing yourself as what's the guy's name in Luke Skywalker out of,
Oh yeah,
may the force be with you. Sometimes you may be Darth Vader. It's like being able to see,
because he got a story too.
yes, to be able to see yourself in the context of what's happening.
Right.
And then maybe then we can understand it without thinking that we are victims of the world that we are seeing. This stuff is, and so she says in here, she says, I don't know if this is where she says it, but she says this thing about, I don't know if this is where she says it, but it's hard for a child to put themselves in a symbolic context. You do that through maturity. As you mature, you are better able to see yourself in the Lion King story. You are better able to see yourself as Simba, but also know when you're acting out as the uncle, right? That's somehow trying to make a person guilty of, or gaslighting is what
gaslighting
nowadays. And so know when you are playing these individual roles and why you're playing them. And so, and sometimes it allows us to correct course.
Absolutely. And I think that the thing that allows us to correct course, I love what she said, and I really want to investigate more about being able to not be so literal and become more symbolic in our thinking. Like, understanding, why is this being said? Why am I doing this? Why was this story told to me? Why is that position that my family of origin took? Be symbolic about it. Find the symbolism in all the decisions that we make that may feel like we're going against the grain of our families of origin.
Right. Good morning, Johnny Dent. he says, he always says that God has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
You are given this idea to get excited about, and it's called vision. And it's your vision.
Yours.
Nobody else can see it.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It
So true.
doesn't matter if anybody agrees with it. Walk out your calling, whatever it is that your vision is, do that particular thing. And so often, and we get pulled off course. We get
Oh, yeah.
off course by, giving more credit to what somebody else says or will think about what it is that they're doing. And we have got to figure out, and those are times when I say, like, that idea that our feet are not firmly planted under us.
Mhm.
We are so busy, living, crooked. We are so busy living crooked that we can't get to the place where we see that that we are supposed to. This is where we are supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So and then what does that say? Sometimes what is it, when you feel like I used to, okay, let me tell y'all my story. Not my whole story, but because I'm always giving y'all stories. I used to always tell people that I was the ugly duckling of the family. Can you believe that? Right? I was the ugly duckling of the family. And this was the scenario that I played out in my own mind. Because I used to tell people I did not, this was my thought then, that I didn't have a talent. So my sister Pam, has green eyes, and she got the silky hair, and she was passable. Most people didn't realize that she was, not everybody realized that she was Black. Um, and she played the flute, and she could sing, and she went to Barbizon modeling school, and she was the child who, when I showed up in class, they would say, "Are you Pam's sister?" Like, yeah. Oh, like, what happened to you? Right? Like, do you have different parents? Like, no. It was always that, right? So that was Pam. And then comes Herman, and Herman he used to wrestle. He was AAU champion. They celebrated that dude like you would not believe because of athletics. Then he played the trombone. He was in all kind of bands. He was just Mr. When he was younger, he was that it kid. And then there was me, and then Kevin, my brother, who is now a councilman, who was wrestling, and who was, played basketball, got a scholarship, all of this stuff. I was the ugly duck. And then there's Derek, and Derek just, Derek played football, and he was this and he was that. And my parents would go everywhere where, if Pam was in the all city choir, or if Pam was, they would go everywhere following everybody else. And here I was, the ugly duckling of the family. I had no talent. I was the one that always got the calls from the school. You've got to come up here. I was the one who just wasn't. I wasn't that child. I was the rebel. I was the problem child, the ugly duckling, the middle child. I got the whole language for it, because I was like, man. And then when I found out that a middle child, there was 5 of us, I was right snap in the middle, right? Valia, so, and Valia was, Valia, but I always felt like I was that child that was like, yeah, we don't know what we're gonna do with her. And she did what? Yeah, that's just Sandy. That was the conversation around me. Girl. And so when I say that I'm loving some me, It took work to get there. And a lot of times we don't realize that we write the stories, right? I wrote that story. I surmised from what I was seeing. That was my story. That was what I told myself. And you know what? I found out I could tell myself a different story. I could be me, damn it. I can write. And I read a book called The Power of Story, because it is really important what we say to and about ourselves.
True.
Really important.
It's true.
So that was my story. Now my story is different, right? Now I am no longer the ugly duckling. I work at this. I work at being fabulous, right? It's like, yeah, that's not my story anymore. My story is not about all the places that I've fallen down anymore. It's about all the places I get up.
Right.
It's that I got a triumphant story. I got a resilient story. It's shifted. And so there's a power in knowing that we can shift our story too. Change the narrative. A guy I used to date, that was one of the things that he would say all the time. It's like, you know, we can change the narrative. We can create a new narrative.
Yep.
When we so choose. So what's the, you go in to a job interview and somebody looks at your resume and say, oh, I see that, you got a 15-year unaccounted for blank. What's the story with that? Now, what's the story that you tell, right? What's the story? And I mean, a good story can either get people like on your team. We see all these people, and that goes back to the single mother thing.
Right.
We see all these people who create a good story around what they have been through. And sometimes when you just learn how to embrace your story, it is the same story, just given from a different perspective.
Yeah. Like the Gospels of, yeah.
Yeah. Like the what?
The Gospels. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. 5. They all seen the same thing, had the same experience, but they all had a different story, a different take.
Yeah. Yeah. Same circumstances, different perspective.
As a mother with kids, me and my 3 siblings have a different perspective of the household we grew up in.
Yes. Our parents and their parenting and all of those things. I remember somebody said to me, "Whoo, you were dad's favorite." And I was like, "What? Like that didn't happen. That didn't happen." I never perceived that. So like, and let me just give you an example. I would walk in my dad could be sitting in the house, all his other kids are there. And I walk in the door and he says to me, "Hey, Sandy, yeah, what's over there for me to eat?" So automatically I got an attitude, right? Because I walk in the door and I feel like Cinderella. You want me to go over there and fix you some food while you got all your other kids sitting here at the table, feet up, laughing, cackling, having a good time with you, and you ask me for food. Now, so for me,
and somebody else perceived it as being the favorite.
Right. They perceive it as, Dad didn't trust me to get his food. Dad didn't tell me to go over there and fix him a plate. Dad didn't ask. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why am I the one that's got to do some work?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
it that
It
was the way
happens.
that
Yeah.
played out.
Hmm.
So what's true? I mean,
What is true, and that's why it's important for us to get clear on that, because it holds up our energy source when we're all out here dangling a bunch of holes in our energy system, knowing that our tribal beliefs are impacting us like so big.
mhm,
Because the belief for the person that says my dad, I know this is not that deep, but for the belief for the person that says my dad doesn't trust me to feed him, what is that message? I can't cook, I'm not helpful. Does that person now begin to be efforting to be a helpful person in other areas of their life because they have a belief system that navigates and determines
yeah,
how they're going to move forward on the journey? Like, it's
mhm,
just studying this and being a family therapy. Yeah, just that whole concept of family of origin, never ever associated it to our energy systems except for how it impacted our mental health, but it impacts our physical health as well. That biography and biology thing is just so powerful to me.
it
I
really
just
is.
can't even do this journey the same anymore, understanding that how important that getting clear about our beliefs in
Hmm.
that first chakra is so crucial. The
My
I am chakra is what it's
yes,
called, and
yes,
it's getting clear in that,
mhm. Yeah. So the energy consequences of belief patterns. Yes, it is. I mean, and I think that you're right to emphasize that and to, to say that over and over again to people, because it does have serious consequences. And I think sometimes, I have a friend of mine that went into therapy. And one of the things that the therapist kept coming back to was kept talking about her family.
Mm-hmm.
And she was kind of upset about it
Mm-hmm.
because she said to me, they're trying to make my family out to be bad, right? That I had to have had some kind of trauma in my life for me to be showing up like I am. And she was like, she stopped going because she was like, you know, that's not my experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's one of the reasons why they do that
Yeah,
is,
and it's not that we're looking for trauma, we're looking for a narrative.
mm,
There is a narrative. There is a narrative that we all show up on the scene for. And a lot of times it is that narrative that's the stopgap on our journey. It's the thing that, and even the narrative that may not be a trauma, but there may be a truth that you can't face because of a family belief system. I can't think that the way about my grandma. I can't think that way about my father. I can't think that way about my mom. So therefore now I'm not able to grow because I'm not allowing myself to tell the truth that my spirit wants to inform me of.
mm, yeah,
Doesn't have to be a trauma. It's a narrative though. Something said I can't go any further, and that's why you're dealing in anxiety and depression, because something says I can't go further, because if I go further, that means I got to believe something that my family of origin says I'm not supposed to believe. That daddy is always right, mommy is always right, you know.
yeah, yeah. So that's really interesting. I'm gonna tell you something. This is
We
funny.
on live.
I
No,
know,
I'm
but,
just teasing.
it's all good. Um, I had a great grandmother who we used to have to go see every year. And she had this house that sat behind my grandfather's house. And so as a little kid, I would be in there and I would be playing because we had to go and see her and we had to spend time with her. But, I would go in there. And so one time I got up and I whispered in her ear, I see you. Right? Because everybody else thought she was a woman and I knew she was a man.
Wow.
I knew, you know, that even though she had long hair, I couldn't see no boobs, and she had this big structure, just, you know, all of this stuff. And I had whiskers and all of that stuff. I surmised that she was a man, and I was the only one that knew when I was like, I see you. I mean, badass little kid. I should have got a whooping. But I wanted to say, they may not know it. Everybody else don't know it, but I know it. I know it. You know, she down there in her little rocking chair, just rocking, and it's like, yeah. but it was so interesting to me because I guess I felt like I needed to say something to her about it because she wasn't fooling me. So it's, I get that what you're saying is that people don't, if you don't, you can't, well, that's a thing that they say, you got to admit it to quit it. You got to acknowledge some of the stuff that you got going on working in your head. And
You
if you
do
don't,
not go within, you will go without.
Wow. Right. and so, yeah, and oh, that's good. It's good. It's good because yeah, what you can acknowledge continues to, like,
Can't heal it. Yeah.
yeah, like for me, it's like opening up my refrigerator and trying to pretend that I don't smell that smell.
Right. Exactly.
Still informing something. It is saying, I'm here. I'm here, darn it. You got to find me. I'm here.
And we just self-medicate. You can spray your kitchen with Febreze, put about 5 boxes of baking soda.
Yeah, that's what you do. Go get some more baking soda. This one must not be working. It's there. It's there.
Oh.
So let's just finish up this little thing at the bottom of 109. Regardless of the truth of familiar beliefs, every one of them directs a measure of our energy into the act of creation.
Yes.
Each belief, each action has a direct consequence, right? Direct consequence. When we share belief patterns with groups of people, we participate in energy and physical events created by those groups. This is a creative, symbolic expression of the sacred truth, all is one. And so when we share support for a candidate running for office and that candidate wins, we feel our energy and our physical support helped.
Yep.
Further, we have some sense that he or she represents our concerns, which is a way of physically experiencing the power of unity in the truth, all is one. And so, so regardless of this, sometimes we, you know, when we recognize that we feel that's one of the ways in which we fight against powerlessness too.
I think so too. I mean, we witnessed it last couple of summers ago with our friend, just standing and with her. And a lot of times, you know, when I'm praying by myself, I know it's getting a prayer through, but something about that collective energy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that is one of the things, you know, Jesus said in his teachings, pray in my name, right? And one of the things that I'm always doing is that my knowing ability to know is, I know when I pray that it changes things, right? It changes things. And so if you don't know that about yours, it's like, I'm going to know it about mine. And sometimes, even if the only thing I can perceive is a little shift. I know that when I say something, there is a, well, wait a minute, Sandra got a request here, and there is this like stuff that happens, and and there is an effect. And so why would I not lend that into a group? So if I say something here, if you say something to me, it is more than just now Stephanie saying something. It is because we've got an agreement, or because we come together where two or more are gathered, right? There is a shift, because now yo stuff and my stuff coming together then brings that together, and it does have more power and more effect. So 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 there are a lot of people who have a lot of fears around a lot of different things.
Collective fear.
Oh my gosh, there was a collective consciousness. And one of the things that I have seen, which is interesting to me, is that when this country is dealing with an issue and they make a concerted decision to start advocating for that particular thing, what you've seen over the last couple of years is that LGBTQ community has been represented in that box that comes into everybody's home and informs thoughts. When they wanted to change around the racial question, every commercial you see has a biracial component to it.
Yeah.
And so it becomes this thing of, we're going to keep circling and circling and circling. If it's Black Lives Matter, we're going to keep circling and circling and circling around a particular idea until that idea takes root in the society, which is our target group now, because these are the people that are watching certain programs or watching this or watching that. And so that target audience that they are trying to reach, it becomes this thing of the message over and over again. And so you get, even if it's only incremental at a time, you start to see a shift in how people think, because now we're seeing images that support these ideas, and these ideas become part of the American consciousness and all of that stuff. And there are a lot of countries in this world who will ban American TV because American TV has so much violence in it that they don't want that to become a part of the collective
their society. Yeah.
Of their society. And so we get these messages from different places. There is a consequence. They do not just fall. Right? There is a consequence to this.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
It's a consequence to how we think about our city. And then we complain that Cleveland gets a bad rap, but then the people who are living in it don't have a respect or an honor for where we are, what we do, who we are, whatever that means. And then you can tell by what's manifesting what is the collective experience, what is the collective mindset, what is the familiar message that goes on here in our city by what we hear other people say about it, because they can't mirror something that ain't showing up.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that. I was very conscious of that. I drove a taxi for a minute. Did I ever tell you that?
No, you did not.
Yeah, I drove a taxi for a minute. It was a hustle that I had, that when I first quit, when I first stopped working in corporate America, I was trying to do the entrepreneur thing, but I couldn't make ends meet. And driving a taxi cab is something that you can just on Friday decide, oh, I'm gonna go drive a taxi for 12 hours and make some money, right? Sometimes you make them some money, sometimes you make some money too. but I would drive a taxi cab. And so what would happen is that I would pick up people at the airport all the time, go sit out at the airport, sit on the thing out at the airport, and you pick up people. And one of the first things that people, when they get in your cab, ask is they ask you about the city, your city. And my answer was really interesting to me. And I said, well, it depends on who you are, what your experience is going to be.
Now that's true.
Yeah. And they would always ask me, how so? And I said, well, a lot of times I said, I'm Black. I come from a Black community. And a lot of times we feel like we are at the beach and can't get in the water. And at other times, you have people who not only are they at the beach, but they sitting out on, docked out on a waves and got people running out food to their boat. So they are always in this experience of plenty. I said, it depends on who you are, what your experience is going to be. Because if in this town, we have all the major sports. We got the Browns, the Cavaliers, the Indians. At the time, we had the WNBA. We got a hockey team. We had all of that stuff. But if you can't afford a ticket, it might
right. Yeah. Right. Different experience.
Yes,
It's different experience.
And so people drive right past those areas where people can't afford or can't be there. They drive right past it as if they don't see it, right into their nice little plus $20-some parking spots. And then they go back to their homes and never understand that there is a different Cleveland that other people are experiencing. So
very true.
Yeah, it just depends on who you are. Yes, just depends on whether or not you have the ability to access the what's here. So
that was good. That was a great spot too. I like that. Yeah.
All right,
well,
so
I have to get out of here, my dear.
Yes. I got a appointment too.
To be outside in the warm. I'm excited about that.
Yes.
Right.
So enjoy your day.
I will. Thank you. This was a good start to where I gotta go. This is good. Thank you.
Yes. All right.
Super appreciative.
Well, thank you so much for being here. We'll pick up right here on 109 tomorrow and keep meandering our way through.
All right.
Of the spirit. All right.
So all right. Enjoy your day.
Everybody. Thank you. You too. All right.